Hey everyone, welcome back to Motion RC. Today we are going to be unboxing the 1200mm F8 Bearcat. It's really a cool model. It's been around for a while. I wanted to do an updated assembly video for it, so here we go. First thing we need to do is get it out of the box, get all our parts laid out on the table, and we will start our assembly. Alright, so now that you have your Bearcat all out of the box and you've checked all your components are okay, it's time to start our assembly. We're going to start with our elevators. These are going to be affixed to the airplane using the KA 2.3 by 8 screws. There are 4 of these little countersunk guys that we're going to use. So what we're going to do is flip the airplane over upside down, and then we're going to slide our 2 elevator halves in. Be careful not to push too hard while you're doing this. You don't want to damage them. They should just slide in and key in very nicely. Once you've done that, you're going to take those 4 screws and you're going to put them in to the elevator halves to affix them to your model. Alright, now that we have our elevator on, it's time to put our wings on. But if you haven't noticed already, my life is a lot easier because I have my Ernst Mega Stand out here on the table. If you're interested in getting one of these are available at motionrc.com. We also have a full line of other stands to make your life easier when you're putting your airplanes together or working on your models at home. So, without further ado, let's get it turned back over and let's get these wings installed. Alright, so for this step, what we need to do is we need to open our inner gear doors, slide our carbon spar into the fuselage. Then we're going to take our wing halves and slide them on. Now, as we slide our wing halves on, we need to be careful as to slide our servo leads into the trough provided to get them inside the fuselage. This is so we can hook them up at a later step, but for now we're going to go and slide them on. Then taking the 4 screws for the wings, we're going to put our 4 wing screws into the model to affix the wings to it. So at this point, we're ready to install our blue box. The little box is actually just a bunch of Y harnesses condensed into one unit, so it makes it simpler to plug into your receiver. It's as simple as plugging each side into the corresponding port. They're labeled all the way down it, gear, flaps, ailerons, all there on it. Alright, so now that you have your box installed, it's time to install our receiver. For me, I'm going to use the R200 6GS. This is a 6-channel Futaba receiver, but you can use any 6-channel receiver you choose from any brand, and they will work with this airplane. Now that we have our receiver bound up and our model working, it's a good time to do a control surface check. They're not hooked up at this point, but they are going to be centered. So why I haven't hooked up any of the control rods until now is we have the model powered and all of our servos are now centered. I like to have the model on while we do this next portion of putting our control rods on. That way I know all of my servos are already centered. The last thing you need to do also at this point is go on and push the little wires around the landing gear, and then you can cycle the landing gear once to make sure the doors actually are operating correctly. As you can see, they go up and down and close themselves by hitting those wires. So now at this point we have all our control surfaces hooked up. As you can see, we can move our ailerons, our flaps, our rudder, but our elevator isn't actually attached up here in the fuselage. And this could be a little bit different on yours. It could be screwed down, but this is a good thing to check. So you can actually center your elevator by holding it, pop the front hatch off, go in from the top, and you're going to see the two screws. One is for the rudder, one is for the elevator. You need to hold it straight, then tighten that screw down on the rod, and that will get our elevator actually hooked up. All right, now that we have the model fired up, we have all our control linkages on, this is a good point to check our control surface directions. We need to make sure everything's going the right way. So I always recommend you stand in the position where you're looking from right now, so behind the airplane. Of course, I can't do it in this situation because I'm filming, but if we go to the left on our ailerons, we should see the left aileron go up and the right aileron go down, which we do. We should also go to the right. We should see the right aileron go up and the left aileron go down. This is also correct. Now let's check our elevator. When we pull the stick down and towards us, we should see the elevator go up, which is correct. When we push it away from us, we should see it go down. That's also correct. Now let's check our rudder. So when I push the rudder to the right, you should see the rudder go to the right. Now our rudder deflection is the wrong direction. So in my Futaba radio, I need to go to my rudder channel and I need to reverse it. Yes. Now when we do it, rudder to the right direction, rudder to the other direction, it is correct. There we go. Now it's good to do all this with the propeller off of your model. And while we have the propeller off, let's also do a quick throttle calibration. This is something you should do with every model when you get it, a new model from us, from FlightLine or Freewing. Your jets can do it also. The way we're going to perform this is we're going to open our battery bay, unplug the model. Now on our transmitter, to the home screen, I'm going to take and go full throttle. I'm going to now plug the model in, listen for the series of beeps, and then I'm going to reduce the throttle stick to 0. Down to 0. And now we've done a successful throttle calibration. What that does is it sets the end point in the ESC to where when you barely turn it on, it's going to start spinning. Sometimes when you plug your model in for the first time, the ESC is going to just sit there and beep, 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 beep. And what that's telling you is there's a little bit of throttle engaged. A throttle calibration will normally fix this. It also makes it to where your trim can be in the middle. All right, now that we have all of that done, it's time to get our model's propeller installed on it. The Bearcat has a very scale propeller on it, but you do need to assemble it. The way this works is lay your prop hub on the table, then take your 4 prop blades with the literature that's printed on them facing towards you. Slide them in all 4 slots, then take your prop hub, put that on top. You'll be able to squeeze it and hold it with your fingers at this point and flip it over. Now you're going to install the 8 screws into the back of the hub. Be sure not to get these too tight as you can crack the plastic. All right, at this point, let's slide the prop onto the front of the airplane and then use the one screw that's a little bit different. It's got a little bit of Loctite on it to go on and install that propeller onto the front of the airplane. And then we're going to take a little dab of glue and we're going to slide our 4 gun ports in. So there you have it. We've completed the assembly on the Bearcat. The one thing I will tell you, before your first flight, page 11 in your manual is going to cover dual rates. I would go on ahead and recommend programming those dual rates and following the manual to set it exactly how you want it. Now, it's just a starting point. Some customers decide to try different dual rates than what we recommend in the manual. That's perfectly okay. But it's a good place to start. Also, before your first flight, the manual also covers the CG. You want to make sure your CG is correct. If it's not, you're not going to have a good time. So double check the CG on your model before your first flight. Hey guys, if you're new to Motion RC, make sure you check out our Facebook customer community page. Lots of guys always repainting these models, hanging out, having a good time. It's a great place for new hobbyists to learn about RC. You can also check out Hobby Squawk Forum. There are plenty of threads on the Bearcat if you're curious and want to know any other questions about this model. It's covered in depth on the Hobby Squawk forums. And like always, whether it's land, sea, or air, Motion RC has what you want. We'll see y'all in the next video, guys. Bye.